A very good morning from Singapore. I'm Fan Man from the National University of Singapore, and I'm going to share with you our presentations at EduCourse 2020. It is a on-demand presentations because of the time difference, and this presentations in session track exploring new boundaries in teaching and learning. And our title for the presentation is Showcasing Our Work in Augmented Reality, Applying an AR Mobile App to Train Visualization Skills. And on behalf of my co-presenter colleague, Mr. John Yap from the NUS IT, we'd like to give you our thanks for your time and appreciations for joining us and hearing us out. So today's three takeaways from the presentations. Number one is that we will introduce a bit of the limitations of traditional tools for visualizations in STEM teaching, in particular teaching biomolecules, organic molecules in a three-dimensional way. And point two is how our AR applications, the use of this NuPOV app as a supplementary aid to support teaching the conversion of two-dimension to three-dimension molecules in the learner's mind. And then lastly, we showcase evidence of learner success using data from our little pilot research in the SVA method. And of course, having some students' testimony doesn't harm our effectiveness of NuPOV. Now, this is what most universities, organic chemistry professors, teaches students how the orbital interactions in a 3D molecular space using two-dimensional figures and diagrams. And this habit and practice perpetuate for many years, I could say close to a century, because in the past technology wasn't so advanced. And we see that in this case, right, the green zone and the brown zone represents a 3D space. So you can imagine this is like an egg, not a flat 2D area, right? But trying to show that when these two areas overlap, how the bonds are being formed, how other bonds are being broken, right? So of course, learners know that this is supposed to be 3D, right? And supposed to come in from an angle of 107 degrees, which is a two-dimensional visualizations. And when there's a bit of conflict, the learners might not really understand what do these repetition mean, or if they do, the teachers can't check whether they could ascertain what they imagine is right. So this is really a limitations because sometimes learners think they know, teachers think they know, even learners did well for exams, and then teachers reaffirm that, this learner knows. But is it really the case? Now, from assessment, we find that this might not be the case. So there's a need for some improvement in that. So, want to iterate that using two-dimensional figures is just inconsistent to help all learners to see the same thing in the same world here. What is better if there's a unifying platform, right, in a 3D space that everybody are on the same page, literally. Additionally, it is so hard to teach. Adding on to the limitations, we talk about being consistent in what people should see and learn and questions. If they're questioning something that's different, the learners, even the professors, might just get more confused. Now, the other thing that we want to support is that it's not just that when the learners get good grades, we are sure that they know what's happening. Okay? Now, here comes the solutions here, right? We work with chemistry professors. I'm a chemistry professor myself, right? Albeit a little bit younger than my original professors from 15 years ago. So I'm now working with her, with a team of augmented reality, edtech programmers who's passionate about educations, working with former students, right, on this project called NuPOV, Nucleophile's point of view. This pertaining to organic chemistry. So for any professors who know a bit of chemistry, I'm sure you know what is this nucleophile, right? So I was saying that besides working with senior faculty who was my teacher last time, I'm a teacher myself, and working with colleagues, also with former students who also agree that a new tool in this form here is immensely useful to help their junior students. The key features of this NuPOV is that we use AR technology and allow gamifications, right, for the learners to have a very engaging user interface to learn about three-dimensional orbital theory here and how the molecules interact. And this is very amazing because not only that this is not a movie that's a pre-scripted and then the learners just watch, but the learners get to interact, you see, by firing a cannon. This represents the shooting out of a orbital, right? This represents the shooting out of a nucleophile here, right? And interact with the other molecule, the substrate, in the right angle with the right energy, and then collapse to form a new product here. And if any of these parts is incorrect, right, you see the score won't go up, and then the molecule will not transform. And that makes learners some form of self-directed learning here, right? So the other thing is it's very versatile because the learners can play together, right? They can discuss at the same time. They have their own game. The other thing is you can play on an iPad, on other devices. Doesn't limit only to your cell phone. And they can play in a landscape mode as well. So it's really cross-platform. The benefits of NuPOV, these applications, is it takes a very mechanistic approach here. So I was saying that it's not directive, but allows the users to direct their own pathway here and question themselves. And on top of that, if they get it wrong, right, they don't get a score, but there's no penalty. So the more you try, the more they iterate. Why didn't the molecules react to the proposed reaction? So this user interface allows them to maneuver the angle of attack, the energy, the speed. These are the factors that people play around with in any other game and try to explore and get it right. And if they get it right, they start to question, what was the difference between my first approach to second attempt to third one and fourth, and slowly iterate, and of course check with the teachers and friends and to think more critically, right, from making mistakes without the need to be fearful of failures. Another critical point is, when the coronavirus came, we find that this tool is immensely useful, helpful, because there's not a prerequisite for professors to be next to the student, and the student can play anywhere, anytime. You just need a smartphone, a code for it to activate the 3D molecule, and they can learn and take down questions and email the professors, right? So what's better than to have the need to gather the whole class and do it at the same time, right? Many schools are closed. So this AR app does help to facilitate remote learning. And through working with education specialists and statisticians, now I myself is passionate about educations in the learning sciences. We created using the SVA model, the Spatial Visualization Ability model, and we do a check on a pre and post test of the students' feedback after using the NuPOV app here. We collated the change in the perceptions for a variety of the topics under self-efficacy, the learning aptitude, and the interest in organic chemistry pertaining to this course CM1121. We'll go deeper into that. The feedback from students was that in the learning aptitude, right, there's the results here. Well, after playing this NuPOV app, they find that because they're more self-directed and question themselves more and try to figure out what happened, right? But to check with the professors and students, they do not require help. This statement, what it means is they do not have to seek actively clarification to check with them whether what they have imagined is correct here. So you see this change is very high. When the change of a score of 1, it means that previously if they thought they didn't need help at a 1, after having the AR app, they would have put a 2 on average. The second question is about the willingness to read difficult modules here. So we thought that by having an AR app, we have to alleviate the difficulty in organic chemistry so that in the future, classes that's more high-ordered thinking, they'll be less fearful or be more open to read the difficult courses, but we don't see a change. This is so marginal. And the last thing is about interest. We hope that having a gamified platform, students will have more interest there, but no, it goes slightly below 0 here. So in fact, we couldn't say whether they were destroyed by the app or the app was too difficult to play, but I'm sure that it makes no difference to the enjoyability of the course itself. But we have feedback saying that they love this game and they appreciate the effort and find it useful. Now, the other part is about self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is about having their own confidence, own sense of awareness, how comfortable they are solving problems, how comfortable they are solving difficult problems, and the confidence of themselves in helping their peers, right? If they feel there's a mastery of the skills and the content involved here. And we see that it is a unifying increment, in self-efficacy, right? We are very happy that this app allows them to figure out, to be brave and understand, to solve problems on their own here. And this does promote active learning. Now, students' feedback tell us that they have greater confidence. These are from the open-ended answers. They find that this AR app helped them understand the spatial visualizations element much more than a pre-coordinated, orchestrated movie, right? That do not allow them to interact, choose their own pathway, and question. We allow them to tackle harder spatial visualization questions because we do not just give them one molecule, but a variety of molecules of different level of difficulty for them to try and experience to ascertain whether they got it right or just by luck. And we have future developments coming in. It's very exciting, very exciting. We are expanding the team. We have grant coming up and students, more professors on board. And we want to use more complex molecules, three-dimensional molecules. We would like to work with, in discussion with the faculty from Department of Pharmacy, Department of Food Science and Technology, and other STEM, even physics. How can we use it for more complex 3D molecules like proteins, right, with my biologist colleagues here, to help them visualize? Because ultimately this is not just for chemistry or organic chemistry, but we are using this store or proxy to enter and see how the learners react and how helpful it is. But this is really translational projects. It could apply across not just natural sciences, but we think that it could be across for other cases where there's a need for the learners to think about a two-dimension to a three-dimensional space. And then lastly, something more pertaining to what we teach in CM Moment 2.1, we will have more chemical reactions that specifically want to enter via the nucleophilic substitution bimolecular pathway. How the backside attack, right, allows for the orbital of the sigma orbital, sigma star orbital interactions of the incoming nucleophile and the ejection of the leaving group here. So today's three takeaway, want to summarize, is number one, we share with you the limitations of the traditional tools for visualizations using chemical molecules, two-dimensional figures. Number two, we showcase how this NuPOV app is used as supplementary aid to guide learners to enhance their visualization skills, and we presented the survey, the pre and post test, and showcase evidence of learner success from the testimony. So with that, I'd like to acknowledge the whole team here. This is Professor Lam Yudin, my professor in the university at NUS when I was undergraduate. Still remember her fondly and as a freshman, and now we are colleagues working hand in hand on a number of projects. This is Dr. Tan Teck Kang, who specializes in education and statistics. He works with OSAT, NUS, Institute for the Application of Learning Sciences and Education Technology, where I used to head the department there. And this is Mr. John Yap. He heads his team with Juvi, right, who've developed this AR app. He's passionate about the education. So without him from NUSIT together with Juvi, we can't be here where we are today. And these are the two undergraduate students. They did exceptionally well. They're so altruistic because they did well for the course, and now they thought, how can they help their junior students learn better, right, with the use of education technology? This is Kevin, Buya, and Jonah. They are the first two authors of these publications in the Journal of Chemical Educations. That's peer review under ACS, American Chemical Society publications here. I would like to give credit to Miss Maria Go. So she has been extremely helpful in the user interface, the graphics, right, to make it even more like a real game on the market, and that does increase the motivation of the learners. So this is the team, and we'd like to thank all the teammates who supported the project in different ways here, our collaborators, Professor Etienne Blanc and Professor Benoit Colosan, Dr. Thierry Concianic, who is also a member at EduCourse, and Professor Xavier Kumu. They were from the Université Descartes, Université de Paris maintenant. So with that comment, and we try to use these applications for different cultural users in Singapore, in Europe, particularly in France. We'd like to thank the grant, our grantor, right, the USPC NUS grant, for supporting our work, and Europe's grant from the Faculty of Science at NUS here. So with that, you can contact us anytime. Myself, Funman, and John, my colleague here, do a scan of the QR code for our write-up here, when we'll be very happy to touch base and interact and collaborate in the future. So signing out here, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you. See you next year in EduCourse. Bye bye.